Cast everyone live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, everyone. That's right. So if you're joining in, please join on one of those locations. And we'd love to hear from you. Comments are going to be open for you to join, share, and let us know your thoughts on any of the programs and guests that we have on today. So I'm really excited to bring a veterans aspect to the table today, everyone. I've been talking about it for a while, how we get more involved as a produce community, not just with our kids. John Pandel, a buddy of mine, we see him do grapes for the Wounded Warriors Project. And I think it's fantastic that produce companies get involved, not just within our children, but even our veterans and the entire community, everyone. So today I've got Operation Warrior Resolution. That's right. We're pointing to it and we're giving it a heart, everyone. Okay. Now, we love our veterans. Just to give you guys a quick, I would say, overview of my family, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my wife's family, they're all Marines. They've been Marines. We thank all of our service members. We love all of our service members. And what can we do to give back is to help them succeed in life after being active military. Myself, I worked with Hillsborough Community College right here in Tampa with MacDill Air Force Base, helping military active duty transition to civilian life, everyone. And that's a hard thing to do. Transitioning to civilian life is a hard thing to do. So I was able and fortunate enough to help them. Now today, we've got Operation Warrior Resolution on today. We have a guest that I met through my buddy, Dan, the produce man. That's right, everyone. Getting fresh with Dan. As he says, it's always best when you get it fresh. So I want to introduce our special guest today. We had started with two and things happened, and now we're down to one. So I want to introduce our guest, Danny Serio of Operation Warrior Resolution, filling in for Kendra Simpkins, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Living the dream, man. I always say living the produce dream. And I always say that's what it's about, right? It's just, having fun in your everyday life, having a good time. When you guys brought this to the table, man, I was like, yes. Remember when you called me? You were like, hey, yep. Dan, the produce man said. And I was like, yes.
I think it was more of a hunt down.
It happened so quick, man. It was like, you're like, well, do you want to know what we do? I'm like, sure, but yes, I'm in. I'm like, if Dan says I got to be involved in this, then I'm like, all right, I gotta be involved in this. So I definitely want, our listeners to know, what Operation Warrior Resolution is, what you guys are doing. Obviously, Kendra wasn't able to be here today. Kendra will be back, everyone. Things happen in the community of volunteering, veterans, right? The community. So again, that's why we do have, Danny was already supposed to be on the call before. So now it's just Danny and I living this up. But Danny, please give our guests a kind of 30,000 foot overview of what's happening with OWR and the mission of what's going on.
Okay. OWR is a Sarasota, Florida based, retreat that they do, and we're expanding it a little more. I got involved about 6-7 months ago. So OWR is what we can do to help the people that have served our country as they integrate, discharge from the military and integrate back into their communities. We know it's very tough. There was everything from lots of structure. You've seen things that you don't want to talk about. You have to bring that home. So a lot of the different aspects of OWR are everything from nutrition to jujitsu to a little psychology to yoga to everything that could help you holistically. Now, what we got together with them, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help doing integration of soldiers into their families. And before I'll tell you, it starts with gardening. It would move to, and the reason I reached out to Patrick and Dan is shopping and storing fresh product. And then we get into an aspect of where we teach them how to prep and give them a repertoire. Listen, we build them a kit, we build them a toolbox. And so OWR, they do retreats. I think we're doing 6 this year right now. The objective is to keep continuing to get those. I'm going to tell you, we're constantly looking for help and for sponsors for these soldiers and their families. there's a lot of very, very special foundations and charities out that help, and we want to, obviously be part of that community. Everybody involved, with the exception of myself, has served. I have a lot of family, lost a father, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as I'm concerned, there's just not enough time to give it back. So it's about healing, 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 and integration. Patrick, should we go right? Should we go into the food part?
I mean, listen, everyone, if you get right to that, I mean, this organization and community is all about helping veterans. And what I loved about the most is, so Dan reached out. Okay, Dan, the produce man, reached out and was like, Patrick, I was like, you got to talk to Danny. This is what we're doing. We got to figure out something. We got to have the podcast involved. We got to get your network involved. And this is where I was like, yes, of course. I was like, yes, of course. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll help the veterans. And I didn't even know you were going to talk about produce first, right? So yeah, let's get into this, because this is a big part of what we're trying to do with overall communities, everyone. One thing I can tell you is that, listen, there's no one way of getting kids or people to purchase, pick, eat produce the right way. You got to train them. And again, we're the frontline defense. Just like our military is the front line of defense for defense, we are the front line for produce. We are the produce defense team, right? So do it. Danny, talk about what you guys are doing to educate veterans.
Okay, so as it pertains to this group, the objective is, as I started working with them, my first couple of events were during COVID, were webinar, a little bit of culinary training, everything from knives and how to sharpen and how to handle them, how to dice onions, how to saute, a few things like that. Then after putting some thought into it, and going back and getting a lot of feedback from the veterans who have been fed for 20 years, very regimented. There's skills that they've lost. And then the secondary piece to that is, once we get some skill sets trained, now they can actually eat healthier. There's a lot, as everybody knows, I mean, I'm speaking to the choir here, there is a lot of correlation between eating healthy and health later on in life. So if I had to break it down very simply, we start with, how do you go shopping? How does a veteran go into a store? And let's use the big one, the watermelon. How do they know if the watermelon's good? I would say 5-10 years ago, you could go in and you could ask the produce employee. They would cut it open for you, wrap it for you, hand it to you. With employment now and all that, that's not available. So how can we teach them how to do that? How do they pick the right avocado? How do we teach them how to pick different levels of avocado ripeness so that they can have those for the next few days? So we start there. And my concept would be, is that between everybody that we can get involved, we can do literally training videos. My job today is a national sales trainer. I train a lot of salespeople. So the idea would be, let's simplify it. We can build a repertoire inside of a SharePoint where these vets and their families can access it. So that's step one. Step one, it's actually step two. We'll get to step one in a minute. Step two is how to shop. Then you move to the next piece. How do you store it? How does a vet, or anybody else, we can get involved in this, but how does a vet take the stuff they just bought, the produce, the basil, so on and so forth, and how do they store it at home? How do they keep it as long as they can? And then it moves to, when we're going to prep it. How do we prep it and how do we store it there? And so if you went to my house and open my refrigerator, you would see everything is in either Tupperware or glass storage type containers, and it's all labeled and dated. I know when I made product, I know what I prepped, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm simply throwing together products for stir fry applications. And I mean stir fry, it could be Italian food, it can be Asian, it can be anything, because everything's already prepped. All the mise en place, all that prep work's already done. And I don't think this is very far out of what they have been trained by the government to do, to learn how to prep so that you can execute properly. So the objective, the ask for the folks on this call is, can we put together a group of people who are willing to put videos, pictures, maybe there's plenty of existing stuff from manufacturers together, and put together a repertoire of how to shop and how to pick and how to buy, and then how to store. And then we can do recipes and things like that. Here's what to do with broccoli, and here's 5 ways to cook it that is different than you just steaming it till it's gray and it's bad. We want to make it so it's good. We also want to teach everybody how to go about this on a schedule. So I used to teach families going through cancer that wanted to work with their their children, and we would teach them and it's the same concept here. You shop Sunday if you can, and you shop Wednesday. Sunday you get home, you're with the family, you went shopping with the family, you hope, and we prepped. We diced onions, we sliced onions, we blanched broccoli in a salted bath. We blanched some cauliflower in an acidified bath. Little tricks like that to set the color, part cook it, speed up the cooking for later. Then that day they're cooking whatever protein they may have bought that day. And now let's say it's grilled chicken or it's poached chicken or whatever we're doing. They're going to work off chicken for a day or two. They're going to take a portion of that chicken, depending on how many family members they are. They're going to label and date it and freeze it. Then Wednesday, they're going to go out and they're going to do the same thing over and over again, buy what they use, buy what they need, prep it out. Maybe they're using some product from earlier in the week. And let's say that's pork chops. So they're going to have pork chops that day. Maybe it's pork, a third of that. And as they freeze things, they're going to have these products that are available to them on the days where they just feel like getting McDonald's on the way home, because it's going to be very easy to put things together, probably faster than if you were to run to a fast food chain and get something that is not as healthy. The other piece we want to do is we want to teach them. So instead of going and getting 2 16-ounce steaks, we'd like to teach them, okay, let's live a little longer. Let's do a 10-ounce steak, fan it between the husband and the wife, if there's two, double the vegetables. We're going to teach them how to season the vegetables better. And everything is going to be more enjoyable and fresher, even than they can probably get from a restaurant, because we're going to teach them a lot of those techniques. And then Saturday night, beer and pizza, whatever they want. That's free night. But we don't want to just try to cut them off of everything. What we want to do is teach them to baby step to be healthier. And it is a lifestyle. And in addition, with all of the other aspects and training that they will be receiving from OWR and hopefully other venues, we hope to be able to create a longer lifestyle and an integration in the family where they're working with their kids and they're working with their spouse a lot more in a happier way. So that's that is the nuts and the bolts.
In a nutshell. I was like, so that's a pretty big pistachio we had to just spill. You know what I mean? Like that was a huge pistachio. I going back to like Austin Powers. Do you remember the movie where he's like,
oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm in a nutshell. Why is this nutshell so big? that was OWR.
I didn't know we could quote Austin Powers on this.
It was an Austin Power nutshell. I'm just saying, groovy, baby. Hey, listen. So this is why I was so intrigued, everyone, is that when we started talking about, helping the veterans, and again, Shay Myers and I are working on a little project right now for onions, and I told him we need to do this, and he was just like, yeah, I think I have some videos that we could repurpose with this, right? And even down to like the grading of an onion, right? Like how graders grade onions on the line. Even a video like that can show our people, our community, like, hey, listen, if you see this little bulb right here or this, that's going to be thrown out. Because then if you do see that at the store, there's one thing that, I can tell you about citrus, everyone, is there's a thing, there's white mold, there's sooty mold, right? There's green mold, there's different types of mold. We only see certain types of those molds, right? But it's interesting because if I do see like black mold, or if I do see certain types on there, there's some that you can just, and it's bacteria. If it's a different mold, if it's white mold, if it looks like, if it's furry, right? If it touches another piece of the fruit, okay, now we're talking about spoilage. Now we're talking it can affect the other pieces of fruit. And I think that even right there, like that video alone, sending someone, into the group about onions. So everyone, if you're thinking like, how can I be a part of this? And we want you to. This is a call to get you involved, everyone. This is why we did this, because one, we want to know, if you're a veteran, we're here to help you. Please reach out to us. If you are a veteran, if you're looking to learn more, that's what OWR is here for. They're here to help. And that's why we named this session Pick, Prep, and Cook with Operation Warrior Resolution. This is the goal, everyone. And what's crazy, I say what's crazy is Danny, is, listen, when I came to Hillsborough Community College and I was part of their, ready? You're going to love this, Operation Startup. So the Operation Startup was to really help military families transition from active, right, to civilian life. And so they came in and took the, what was it called? The entrepreneurship courses. They got like their entrepreneurship certificate, and then they were starting a business. And my job was, One, I was a adjunct there, and I also helped them start their businesses. So I'd help them with their licensing, how they do this. So a lot of them were like, "What do you do? How do you do this?" So we would take Operation Startup, and then we would go ahead and say, hey, "Let us help you start your company as a veteran. You get free classes. The GI Bill will pay for this." And then we'd help them on every step of then starting their business and then creating a business plan and being in the civilian life, because that is hard, everyone. You think that coming the transition is easy? Oh man, they've had a steady job for 20 years. It's a different lifestyle, everyone. It's a completely different lifestyle. So that's what I think is so cool, is that each part of this, we need you to help select, buy, store, prep, all of these different things, recipes. This is things we're looking for. So I think I hit it on the spot there, Dan. That we're asking you, produce companies, to reach out and see how you would like to be involved.
Yep. And again, if you remember, I went to step 2. Let's go back to step 1. We would also ultimately like to teach these folks, personal gardening, things like that. So if anybody has a love of that, that's one more step. It's a little bit out of the business aspect, but I bet there's a ton of knowledge here on how to be able to activate that. Because again, it's family integration. It's them doing things together and relying on each other. So
you're right. You're right. I have a peach tree and a lemon tree in my backyard. I'm going to go dragon fruit next. Oh yeah. I'm going to go dragon fruit. That's going to be one I want to do. Also, we're going to do onions, sweet peppers, and a few other things. And it's so crazy to see how interested my kids are when I talk about this. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm in." I'm like, "You're in?" "Oh, I'm in."
mm-hmm.
Like my kids like, "What else can we grow?" And I'm like, "Here's an apple tree." No, we can't grow a huge apple tree in the backyard, but little things like that, right? Is that even the kids are interested, and if you get them involved, they're going to want to be involved. That's why I was saying, like, my kids take over my YouTube channel because I'll start it, right? And they'll be like, all of a sudden, like, a face will come in and they'll be like, "Can I get one of those apples?" And you're like, "Dude, I got to start my video over." Like, you know what I mean? And it's not that like you're trying to make it like totally professional, but it's like, it's always weird when this, when this happens. Like all of a sudden you know what I mean? You got like the Morty, from Rick and Morty with his little face come in like, "Oh, I don't know, Rick." Like, you know what I mean? You get the kid come in. So it's like, then you got to start over and you're like, "All right, what do you want to do?" And they're like, "I want to be involved with this." My son can cut dragon fruit, right? He can tell you how to do it. He can skin it. And that's where I think it's so cool. And I believe, right? This is my belief, that if you did this with everyone, then you'd be in a different spot. Heck, jackfruit. I've never bought jackfruit in my life. I've just been told that jackfruit is being substituted for proteins now, and they're using them in tacos like you would for pulled pork. What the F did I just miss at this point?
Right.
Like, what are we talking about here? And again, if you're intimidated by the jackfruit or the mysterious dragon fruit, Danny, you're not going to pick it up on the shelf. You're going to go with the traditional apple. Right, you're just going to go, "Here we go, apple."
Yep. Hey, saw this. Patrick and Dan talked about this. Let's check it out. Absolutely. My son didn't eat salmon until we went salmon fishing, and then herbs out in the garden, and now that's one of his favorite dishes he makes for friends.
What about, like, same thing? I brought, what was it? Whatever. We were fishing out in Hernando County in Florida here. And we went out and I caught, I'm not a good catcher. I caught like 12, everybody else was catching 50 for the whole day. They just dropped their line. Fish see my hook and they're like, we know this guy. They're like, we're going to make him work for it. But I brought the food home. We've got an air fryer, right? We've got a few different things. And guess what? My son was like, "I want to help. I want in on this." He actually did the fry. He put him in the fryer. We did it all, man. We did it together. And he was like, "Oh, Dad, it's so much better when it's fresh." And I'm like, "Well, as Dan, the produce man, says, it's always best when you get it salmon fresh." Like, you know what I mean? So I think that those are really cool aspects. And I say this all the time because we have so many associations and trade shows and conventions and all these different things. And what's crazy is that you never see kids inside these trade shows or the schools or any of this. And I know they have different events for those, but I'm always like, if you've got product innovation tables, you need to have a 2-hour of invite the community. If you're going to have a trade show in Orlando, You need to be calling Disney and saying, hey, we'll give you guys free passes for 4 hours to invite anybody who buys a ticket for this day to come see our trade show. Because then as people are going, or sorry, you salesmen out in the produce industry, as you salesmen are going, oh, what do you want? Why aren't people buying more? Da, 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 da. Well, did you know dragon fruit was up 137% this year in growth, 4 years, year over year? Did you know that guava was up over 30% year over year for the last 4 years? What are you doing as a community? Because that's what the consumers are purchasing. What are you doing as a company to now look at that? And I believe the same thing. Have a Veterans Day. Have a kid day and bring it in. Instead of just doing a 3-day show for just the industry, bring it to a 3-day show. Monday consumers, Tuesday business, that purchase, schools, boom, boom, boom. And then Wednesday, full business trade show. Yes, everybody, I know you're thinking of going, Pat, you're freaking crazy. But don't you want to increase sales? Because guess what? If you don't know how to cook jackfruit, no one's ever going to buy it.
Yep. And
I mean,
you know what? Just to throw into that, Patrick, I'll tell you, I've given you an ask, a very specific ask, and by the way, any ideas are very, very welcome. It just because we haven't thought of it, there's probably a million other great ideas to do, so we're all ears. But that also, I'm not above trading services. If you feel like I can help you in some way for a good reason, I'm more than willing to entertain that. This is never
Danny's
a
a
one-way
chef,
street.
everyone. He's a chef. I'm telling you, there could be ways to cross collaborate. I want to throw John Pandel in. John Pandel, he actually runs Operation. Operation Warrior. He does the Wounded Warrior with a few companies. I wish I can get John on, invite him on. I'm going to send him an invite and see if he jumps on. And then we can. I love John Pandel. He's awesome, and he might be able to. But John actually said. He goes, Patrick, the Fresno Food Show used to do this. John, I remember that because I actually participated in the Fresno Food Show for a couple of years when I first brought pineapples to into Fresno. Right, I brought them into LA and then down to Fresno. John, I just sent you a link, buddy. If you want to jump on, I can plug you right in, and I want you to say hi if you can. If not, don't worry about it. But I did send you the link. But look, yeah, Fresno Food Show, they did that. But I can tell you, I've been at the Fresno Food Show, and it's not what you think. California Citrus Mutual, I'm not involved with them anymore, Danny, but what they used to do is they actually would invite all the Visalia school districts. They did it in Visalia. They did it in the heart of citrus country. It's the Central Valley of California. And they would invite all the citrus producers out, right? Anybody who did citrus, growers, packers, shippers, but they would do the open for all kids in school. So when you got to go around, obviously, like I had characters, like fruit characters and stuff, but the California Citrus Research Board, and they would have all different varieties out there for the kids to try. They'd have them all. They'd have the lemons, limes, mandarins. Oh, you want the mandarosa? You want this? Tell us what you like. We're trying to breed this. We're doing this. I mean, what better advice can you get from a kid that goes, ready? I want one of these. Do we need more market research?
It's interesting. So when we train kids, you have to, and especially very, very young kids, you have to get in their mind because they might not look as I don't want to try a shrimp gremolata and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what is that? I'm not going to touch that. And then you break it down. You're like, okay, who here likes lemonade? Yeah. Well, this has lemon in it. Lemon's in your lemonade. Okay. Garlic. Who goes to the Italian restaurant, dips your bread in that olive oil and garlic? They're like, yeah. Okay. So you like garlic. We know that. And we go through all the ingredients, the basil, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, hey, I'll eat that. And then get calls from the parents going, what'd you give my kid? They wouldn't eat that before.
Yeah, right. I gotta throw this out, Danny. John always is great with questions. I just sent him another link saying, hey, jump on. Look at this one. Ready? You're gonna love this. Which demographic of servicemen are having the biggest problems adjusting? Single, married with children, short-term service versus career servicemen that served 20 years ago? That's a fantastic question.
This would be a Kendra question.
A Kendra question.
This would be a Kendra question. I wouldn't dare answer this. Listen, here's what I'll tell you. My dad was taken over 30 years after he was released at Vietnam, and he was a surgeon and was exposed to the defoliant, and 87% of triage personnel later on in life developed Parkinson's and dementia,
Mm.
and it took him. But here's what I can also tell you: it didn't do him any justice those 30 years either. There was a lot of struggling going on before any of that hit. So all I would say is not to dodge a question, but I'm helping
You're
whoever I
dodging the
can.
question. He's dodging
Yeah.
it. No, but it's good. I mean, if Kendra was on, she could have answered that. Again,
Yeah.
Kendra had a little bit of an
I'm just a
emergency
cook.
today. He's good. Danny's just the chef. Danny's like, I'm just the chef. I only serve you of what's going in your body. And John Pendle has jumped on. His video has not jumped on yet. Hopefully he can get his video, because if not, it's just a black screen. John, I'm not sure. Check your video, and then we'll definitely let you jump in if you can. But I'm telling you, John does a lot of work, obviously too, with the veteran community. Pandle Brothers obviously is a great company. He also had another comment. John's got thrown a lot of comments in there. But even ready for this, it's like supermarket openings when the vendors put tents out and sample and demos. They really don't even do that anymore. I know that. COVID was a killer in a lot of the samples and things like that. But I mean, I was in Publix the other day, and the guy had salami, cheese, and crackers. And I was like, the guy goes, "Would you like a sample?" I went 1, 2, 3, threw it all away. And the guy goes, "Man, thank you." I said, "What?" And he goes, "No, seriously." He goes, "Thank you." You know what I mean? And I really laughed, because a lot of people are really still afraid to join to have that sample still. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. And bringing back the veterans is one thing you said. It's like they have chow time, right? Right. That's what they have. They have chow time. How do we bring it to different? It's not chow time. How do we get them to eat good food? Right?
Well,
MREs
how
are
do we
not
get
good.
them?
I say that, but they're not eating
Yeah.
MREs every day, but it's like chow. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
really is. So
It's not just sustenance. It's not substance. It's okay. This can be good. It's also not eating a whole bag of potato chips while you're figuring out what you want to have for dinner, which
yeah.
none of us ever do.
That's what I tell someone. Someone the other day said that to me. They were like, "Yeah, you're a produce guy," and I said, "Man, I eat cake." They were like, "Huh?" I was like, "I eat cake all the time." They were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I eat potato chips." I'm like, "I eat candy." I'm like, "Don't think I don't." Now, I did quit drinking alcohol and soda altogether, but those are things that right? I changed a little bit, right? Oh,
Yeah.
Megan McCarthy, she is a chef as well. And she is a chef in Atlanta, in the Atlanta Botanical Gardens. I actually should connect you two as well. Megan is fantastic. She provides all the recipes for our mobile app as well. Oh wait, she's got another one. Ready? I love it. Plant power, baby. Plant power. All right. It looks like John's camera has worked. We're gonna bring John in. I think this is great, because whether it's Operation Warrior Resolution, or if it's the Wounded Warrior Project, it's about helping our veterans. So I'm gonna join. Look at this. Let's see. Boom.
Hey.
John Pandle. He needs no introduction, everyone. John Pandle, good friend of the Produce Industry Podcast, industry legend, and obviously, I would say a supporter of all things produce. Am I right, John?
That's true. That's true. We go coast to coast, line to line around the world, and trying to get fresh things from where they are to where they need to be, which is on your plate and in your mouth.
What do you think? I've seen you. Obviously, I've talked to you about the Wounded Warrior Project that you guys do, with like Tops Markets, and that Pandle Brothers is really involved in. Heck, when you go to your trade show booth, you have that pull up of Operation Warrior, as the Wounded Warrior project. And obviously we want to help more. Obviously, I've told you, I've been trying to get involved a little bit more with our veterans and the nonprofit community. Now we found Operation Warrior Resolution. And I thought it was insane that they reached out through Dan Avakian and was like, these people want to help veterans pick, prep, cook. And I was like, I'm in. And again, I did think about you at the beginning of the show. I brought you up because I was like, John does a lot of work with veterans, and I know you do. So I had to jump you in on this, and you had some good comments. So
one of the other things that's interesting, and say a serviceman that's on duty, and we think of MREs, which is really a battlefield type of situation. But I mean, my father was the World War II eras, and they talked about, KP, kitchen patrol, and, peeling potatoes for, the entire ship and things like that. And then of course you have military servicemen who do live in base housing and have, so what the average serviceman, what is he eating? I mean, is he some type of central cafeteria chow hall, or is he cooking at home and, outside of course, deployed situations, which is a different animal.
Right. Skill level, right? Skill level.
Skill level. Most servicemen have to feed themselves. Is that the current case?
No, I mean, if they're on base, they have the PX, I think it's called. Again, I'm not going to claim to serve. I just have a family of them, like Patrick. Okay. But I can tell you from the people that I know, I mean, just the simple basics I was doing, how to clean a cutting board, how to sharpen a knife, what type of tools to have in the kitchen, which isn't really a lot. That you can have your basic, where to start in your ingredients list. You back up and what do you like to eat, and then you start making your shopping list. And then every week maybe you add something that you've never had, maybe something we've come up with, the dragon fruit or whatever it is. But a lot of the folks, they may even be hammer swingers, they work with their hands, but they have never had an opportunity to work in the kitchen. And living all around the country all these years, and having a culinary background, I also realized there's just a lot of people who didn't grow up with any food knowledge. They just don't know what to do. Overcooked, under seasoned.
As we've grown from, we think of the generations of women who took home ec and learned a common a set of techniques and common recipe. They all made meatloaf, they all made tuna casserole, and then that stopped. And it's interesting. You get when your kids start doing sleepovers, that's when you find which houses cook and which houses not, and you realize that house where if there's not directions on the box, that's it. And if their primary and children learn to cook, one of the first tech instruments they learn to use is the microwave.
Well, our family house growing up was very busy Friday and Saturday nights, because my mom would make 3 giant bowls of pasta and homemade gravy and all that stuff. So it was I agree with you wholeheartedly.
My mom will kill me because I think my mom was a horrible cook. Okay, because I never liked red meat like beef, and John, you know this because you've hung out with me, and I don't
meat lovers club.
Yeah, I'm not. And what's funny is it would make me sick to my stomach. But even to this day, I know I love you, Mom, but I also know, Mom, you don't know how to cook as well as we thought you did, because back in the days, John, guess what we had? Guess what? All we had was macaroni and cheese, hamburgers, right? Steak, all these different things that are just so easy to cook, right? It was so easy to get done. So then my mom comes to my house, right, over the last few weeks, and I have HelloFresh now, which I love HelloFresh. Listen, I'm not promoting them or anything, but I love it because I'm able to just pull out the instructions. Everything's lined out for me, and I'm able to be, just have a clean meal. So I give my mom the instructions because she's here with me, my wife, and everybody. And my mom's like, "What do you want for dinner? Do you want me to cook hamburgers?" And I'm like, "I don't eat beef. Like after 3 days, I'm like, I don't eat beef." But listen, this goes to your point. We gave her the directions for HelloFresh. We gave her all the ingredients for HelloFresh, and she missed about 4 to 5 ingredients just from reading the directions. Because some people are just so used to when they see a little bottle of vinaigrette, or if they see that little panko to add as breadcrumbs at the end, in their mind, and this just goes back, they're not that well versed in how to prep it and cook it, so they will immediately skip the step and just go back to what they're used to doing, which is, no, I'll just put the chicken in there. The vinaigrette, I'm not sure, but we'll fry it up and do that way. And I did. I realized that. I was like, huh. And I was like, why didn't you follow the directions? She's like, I'm not going to lie. She's like, I didn't even know where to put it, or did it just go on top of the meat? And I was like, huh. I'm like, HelloFresh can go here a little bit extra, doing a YouTube channel and teaching you how to actually do the actual instructions on how to cook it. Because even instructions
video
still didn't even happen. We still missed like 5 vinaigrette panko breadcrumbs. Like we missed, John. We had a whole different meal, actually.
Well, you know, one of the beauties of using ingredients and actually do scratch cooking, and you know, I say it, scratch cooking is a superfood, right? And you know, when we were back in the day, and operationally, we had to have, you know, we all had to eat the same thing at the same time. We had to bring water from the well and build the fire, and there was no refrigeration, and you had to eat what there was when it was there. And, you know, now it's to the point where, you know, I grew up where, you know, the mother said, this isn't a restaurant, you can't custom order. Well, today, you know what, with a lot of the prepared foods that are microwavable, that 4-year-old, if he wants to decide that he wants a casual restaurant branded item, he pulls it out of the freezer, he puts it into the microwave, and yes, by golly, his kitchen is a freezer. And, you know, we had to back out.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
Right, don't worry. Anyway, that's a, you know, I think, you know, now that we have houses where you have 4 people and 4 brands of bottled water, I think we're also, you know, realizing the beauty and, you know, of, hey, you know what, we all eat the same thing at the same time. And, you know, Tuesday, I got my favorite, and Thursday you got your favorite, you know, and there's a certain amount of democracy to that.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. To all of us, I would say. I think that also too is that you're going to see a lot more people getting in the kitchen. They're going to be cooking more. They're going to be having a lot more fun, right? That's what they're going to do. You're going to have a lot of people just coming on and being like, all right, everyone, how do we do this? How do we make this move forward? And, you know, really, ready? How do we bring cooking to the table? How do we bring more to your table? Megan McCarthy wrote and said, those meal directions, they don't teach you how to cook, everyone. They don't teach you how to cook at all. So,
well, you know, you go to chef school, you don't learn a recipe book. You learn a series of techniques is what you learn. And then you go out and apply them to whatever. I mean, yeah.
And then you go learn how to be a chef.
Yeah, and then you learn how to be a chef. Exactly. I mean, that's it, man. I mean, this is what we're doing. We're just trying to create more for veterans and for people.
You know, I recall there was one, I forget, is one of our associations, and there was it was a food assistance program where they would, you know, give out to, you know, folks who needed assistance. And, you know, one of the problems was okay, this week in your box is a 20-pound bag of carrots and, you know, a lot of a few things. And so they had, when they handed out, they actually had chefs come in and assuming very little kitchen, that these people were going to have one knife, that they were going to have maybe a frying pan and a pot, and that's it. And it says, okay, how many different carrot dishes can we do with someone with, you know, minimal culinary skill, minimum equipment? And, you know, so that was the success of that program, that, you know, the guy got 20 pounds of carrots and they actually utilized them.
And actually utilizing them. You're 100% right. I mean, I definitely.
We all get tired, you know. We go out and hey, Patrick gives me a box of
oranges,
Gold Star or citrus, and I love it to death. But you know what? I get tired of anything because I thrive on variety, man.
Yeah.
I mean, when they ask me what was the thing that you would eat for every day for the rest of your life, I think Vision of Hell. What do you mean eat the same thing for the rest of your life?
You can't. Well, no, I definitely feel you. And that's what, like I said, I love the comments, John. I love that you're able to jump on. I'm going to back you out because we have to finish this episode with OWR.
I got to check out of my room too.
So I think it was great that you were able to jump on. Thank you, John. Appreciate you as always. And you being a privileged legend, my friend.
All right.
Danny, I knew that was going to be a good one to bring John on. I mean, obviously the guy is well-versed. Again, everybody, we're getting ready to close this session. Danny's getting ready to go train actually a lot of more of the community on obviously cooking, prepping, all of the above when it comes to prepping, cooking, and picking your fruits and vegetables. So, Danny, I got to thank you for coming on today. Obviously, with Kendra being out, it's okay. It's totally okay, right? Obviously, if you want to follow OWR, Operation Warrior Resolution, reach out to them, operationwarriorresolution.org. And Danny, if anybody wants to, get a hold of yourself or anything, how can they go about reaching out to you, my man?
Chef Danny at operationwarriorresolution.org.
I love it. Well, listen, Danny, I will let you jump off, my friend. I know that you've got a lot in, I would say, the forefront for the rest of your day on this Friday. Get ready and train as many veterans as possible to help promote the produce and supply chain industry, my friend. Let's get more fruits and vegetables in the hands of veterans.
Folks, there's no pride here. We're always looking for any ideas, any help, any way we can help you. It's about the veterans. It's not about me. It's about them. So Patrick, you're awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And we'll see you in the fields and on the horizon, Danny.
Fantastic. Talk to you.
Well, everyone, you heard it directly from Operation Warrior Resolution. I'm really glad that we were able to bring on John Pandel. John is actually a big supporter of the show and I would say of the industry. So it's always great. He works with veterans. He works with, the Wounded Warrior program. I had to think about that for a second because I keep confusing OWR with it. But Operation Warrior Resolution, I put some of the links in below so you can follow them on Facebook at Operation Warrior Resolution. You can follow them on Twitter, which is OW Resolution. YouTube, they've got a lot of YouTube videos up there, Operation Warrior Resolution. Now, they do not have a custom URL link, so you got to go into the search queue and actually type that in. And then also, they are on Instagram at Operation Warrior Resolution. So a lot of good things are happening. You're going to see more to come for the produce industry podcast in this space. We are going to be working more with Operation Warrior Resolution to help train, pick, prep, cook, all of the above with fresh produce. So if you're interested, please reach out to us. Also, again, big shout out to John Pandel for just jumping on the fly in Hermosillo, Mexico. Love having him on. I also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, our fancy sponsors of the show, Ag Tools, Flavor Wave, Noble Citrus, Buck Naked Onions, Owyhee Produce, and John Green Logistics, everyone. Dynamite companies making dynamite moves and content in the produce and supply chain industry. So as I say, everyone, we'll see you in the fields